It's been a busy week in the Inland Northwest, so let's get you caught up with the KREM 2 News Week in Review. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for being here with us. Over the next half hour, we'll take a look back at some of the news you might have missed from the past week. So let's get started with one of the biggest stories from the Inland Northwest.
Well, this windstorm certainly packed a punch. Overnight, trees toppled over. Not many trees fell on the roadways, but some trees like this one fell over and crashed into homes. This one took a big hit on the front of the home. You can see right there. A lot of power outages too on Spokane South Hill. But I also want to show you this one. This one was in the Perry district where you can see a tree fell over and clipped the corner of this home. You can see crews working to remove that tree, and Avista also shutting off power to this neighborhood. At some points, there was upwards of 2,000 customers without power. That has since improved throughout the morning as crews work to restore power and get things going. But this one, a very close call. A neighbor told me no one was home when this crash happened, but he did hear when the tree came crashing down.
We heard the sound of the arcing and I woke up immediately because the dogs woke up, everyone woke up, and it was still arcing when we looked out the window. It was like lightning just hitting the whole neighborhood. You could see everything. It was wild.
Meantime, take a look at this tree that fell over just outside of Duncan Garden there on Park Drive. You can see this tree uprooted, even buckling a part of the road, and then the tree got wedged in between other trees. No major impacts to the garden though. If you do have tree damage like this one, you'll have to contact a tree removal company. The city of Spokane says if you have debris in your yard that you can remove yourself, you can take it to the waste to energy facility. Otherwise, you will have to hire a tree removal company. Reporting in Spokane, I'm Tim Pham, KREM 2 News.
That's right, I'm in the Indian Meadows neighborhood just off of Moccasin Road, and this neighborhood has not been with power since about 4 a.m. this morning. Behind me is the main culprit. This tree snapped, blocked the roadway, and hit the power line across the street and the transformer. As you can see, it snapped from this tree over here and it came down this way. Now, crews did respond a couple hours later to de-energize it to maintain safety. However, there's still a big mess to clean up, but they are just so busy, I'm told by neighbors, that they have not been able to come back yet and get everything else squared away. However, neighbors say that they're hoping to get power back, but they have fireplaces on, and they're just thankful that no fires started from these down power lines and the tree debris. Another area we visited was off of Nettleton Gulch Road, which is also very wooded. Neighbors just down the street from one another were with and without power, so I am told it was very dependent on what trees fell. Check out what tree crews and homeowners had to say.
10:30 last night, we heard a big thump, and little did we know this tree fell down. Amazing how tall it was, actually. And thank God I missed the house, you know. But we're safe.
We're here within 4 hours. I let them know right away on the app, but the lady said, well, obviously we have a lot of calls today. I said, well, I'm not really expecting a response, but I just wanted to let you know the transformer is on the street, which is probably much more of an issue than just a down line.
I have at least about 40 calls that I have to run by myself and go and check out the trees and figure out what it's going to take to get them taken care of.
Had another 60-foot tree come down, so we got firewood for a while.
Now we will continue to track those power outages throughout the evening as power comes back and is restored for homeowners. Again, utility companies say that if you see a down power line, to act like it is energized, do not go near it or drive over it. For now, I'm reporting in Coeur d'Alene, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
I still feel the scars of Shell 77 to this day, and I still go out there on May 3rd to lay flowers out there. And whenever I go there, without a doubt, there's always other flowers out there. There's always pennies, nickels, and dimes, which is a military tradition as well. There are people out there that will never forget Shell 77, me being one of them.
Family and friends gathered at Memorial Grove in honor of Captain Tyler Voss, Captain Victoria Pickney, and Sergeant Trey Mackey.
We can never fill in the hole left in the American tapestry by their loss. But today we stand together to vow as a community to never forget them.
So once this scar of losing an active duty member or a reserve or a guard person, a U.S. service military member, losing them in military action, that will be with us forever. And so always just be there and be that supporting that the American public should be for its U.S. military.
We don't know what could happen in this situation. We know that one base is going to at least experience a very difficult few days ahead. As the commander of a refueling wing that experienced this, 13 years ago, what is it? What are those moments like? What can the community do? What should they understand that folks are going to go through in the next few days potentially?
Sydney, it's a great question. I appreciate it because it gives me a chance. I mean, it's really why I'm here tonight is to celebrate Spokane for what it did for us. Two things. One, I'm not asking to do a card or a letter campaign, and I don't have the addresses of where you could be, but what I will tell you is for 6 months after we lost my airmen, I still got cards and other things from around the world, as far away as the Netherlands, saying, we remember your airmen and what they did. It mattered because you are in the military. It's your kids that you just lost. And you as a commander, when you get that, it matters. But more importantly and more specific to your question, I love you, Spokane, for how much you cared for us, for how much you cared about Fairchild. You sat at the gates, you waited patiently, and then when they came home, you showed up. And we had Governor Inslee came, we had 2 senators come, we had general officers come. My airmen were 2 captains and a tech sergeant. That's not very high up in the rank chain, and yet I had so many dignitaries come to their final memorial. Why? They were special airmen, but it's more importantly what they did was special.
Yeah.
That's what we're honoring, and everyone was there. And then here's the final point, Sydney, is when we drove from the Air Force Base all the way down to the IMB Center, or First Interstate Center now, that was given to us to have that memorial service, there were flags the whole way down Highway 2. That's Spokane. That's a lilac community. That's a red, white, and blue community with a lilac heart right there. And as a lilac princess, you know how much we love this community here. Honestly, that's why I'm sitting here today with you, because I turned to my wife when we were getting at the end of our time and I said, this community loves its veterans. Maybe this is a place that we call home, and why we retired here is because of that love for Shell 77. So wherever you are at, Base USA, show love to your base. They want it. They need it.
As we go to break, here's a check of your weekend forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Week in Review. Each weekend, we walk you through headlines from the past week in the Inland Northwest.
It's hard to imagine an organization that has more vital personal information about you than the Department of Licensing.
A new filing claims that every Washington resident with a driver's license or state ID could have had their personal data exposed through the system.
Because the Department of Licensing didn't follow state law in alerting people to the breach, even those who might be victims of an identity theft from this wouldn't know why they were.
Attorney Joel Ard submitted this tort claim on behalf of a Washington man, alleging DOL knew its system was vulnerable between 2018 and 2025. The filing states fraudsters would pay for dozens or hundreds of new driver's licenses to be sent to the same address.
In that time, they had, as I understand it, multiple occasions of hundreds of driver's licenses sent to single addresses where somebody would change these addresses and collect up a large batch of driver's licenses.
We took the allegations directly to Governor Bob Ferguson, who was not governor at the time of the alleged breach.
My team gave me a heads up that this attorney had said this. We have no idea if there's any truth to it whatsoever, and the team's reaching out to DOL. That's literally what I know about it.
Ord and his clients say they believe the Department of Licensing knew about the alleged vulnerability and did not inform the public, and say more victims are now coming forward, which could lead to a class action lawsuit.
One of this size and scale to not inform the public and let it continue for as long as they did is just stunning.
Well, Kayla Schumacher says it all started with a letter from the DOL notifying her about a change to her address, a change she says she never made. That has since spiraled into nearly half a decade of identity theft issues.
It's just not like one of those things that you can just fix it overnight.
Constant credit checks have become the new normal for Kayla Schumacher.
This is the most significant identity theft, fraud type thing I have dealt with.
Schumacher is not alone in this experience. At the beginning of the month, another Washington resident filed a tort claim claiming his information was leaked through an alleged licensing security breach.
It's hard to imagine an organization that has more vital personal information about you than the Department of Licensing.
Joel Ard, the man's attorney, says the DOL knew its system was vulnerable between 2018 and 2025. The filing states fraudsters would pay for dozens or hundreds of new driver's licenses to be sent to the same address.
Because the Department of Licensing didn't follow state law in alerting people to the breach, even those who might be victims of an identity theft from this wouldn't know why they were.
Schumacher says this is exactly what happened to her back in 2021.
I was like, this doesn't make any sense because I had recently renewed my license and I know for a fact I didn't make any changes because there weren't any changes I needed to make. That's when I found out my address had been changed and my driver's license was sent to that address because somebody had requested it.
She says she filed a report with the Spokane County Sheriff's Office but hasn't heard anything since. A spokesperson with the Sheriff's Office says they sent the report to DOL investigators, saying there is only so much they could do after state investigators took over. Schumacher says the hardest part about this whole situation was the effect it had on her credit.
I had to really be on top of things roughly about 6 months. I swear at times it felt like I was playing whack-a-mole. I would see one account open, I'd go through all the hoops to close it, only to see 2 other things or 3 other things pop up.
The DOL sent KREM 2 a statement saying in part DOL disputes the allegation of widespread fraud and has found no evidence of a data breach through its License Express service. That service requires customers to input personal credentials such as birth dates and social security numbers if applicable before gaining access. DOL takes allegations of fraud seriously.
If more and more people speak up, then obviously places and agencies are going to feel more pressure to make the right changes.
Under state law, a tort claim is a 60-day notice before individuals can file a lawsuit against a state agency. Now, to read the DOL's full statement about the alleged breach, you can just head to our website, KREM.com. In the newsroom, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week.
Despite it being a little gloomy here across the Palouse, U of I fans are not letting this weather get in the way of them celebrating not just one, but both of their basketball teams returning to Moscow as champions. It's the day after a historic night for both teams. This is the first time in a decade that the Vandal women will compete in March Madness, and for the men, this is something they've been working towards since the last time they played in the tournament nearly 40 years ago. This recent win for both teams is especially significant because it's the first time in the history of the program at the university that both teams will play in the NCAA tournament at the same time. I had a chance to catch up with both teams as they stepped off the bus today to ask how they're feeling ahead of Selection Sunday.
Yeah, right now it's just a great sense of gratitude. You know, we feel like we're peaking at the right time. We feel like we got a team that really believes in each other. So we'll enjoy this experience and hopefully make the most of it.
You know, obviously we're not going to get an easy game or anything like that at Selection Sunday, but I think just staying ready and taking, the moment as it is.
We're definitely not done yet. I mean, it was great to have these two big accomplishments, regular season and Big Sky Champions, but yeah, there's so much more to come. I feel like we can definitely surprise the team out there.
Yeah, we're just excited to keep playing. You know, we've won 18 games in a row now. We're in a pretty good streak. We have 29 wins, and I feel like we have a good enough team that we can make some noise in the tournament, you know. So we're just going to wait to see who we play on Sunday, and whoever that is, we'll be ready, we'll be excited, and then we'll get back in the gym on Sunday after Selection Sunday and get ready to play.
Both teams tell me they are grateful to be back here in the Palouse. They say regardless of what happens this weekend, though, they are ready to represent U of I out on the hardwood. We will officially know who the Vandals and the Zags will play this weekend on Selection Sunday. University of Idaho fans that I talked to hope that the Vandals will be placed in Portland so that way they can go and watch this first match of the tournament in person. In Moscow, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
I just like snow, so anytime we get a chance, we just come up here and we just have fun.
Snow was on the ground, but this, not what Alex Gergen was expecting.
I wasn't aware of the rain.
Heavy rain at the start of a blizzard warning in Snoqualmie Pass. Conditions were slick at the summit Wednesday, and Alex's big truck came in handy for a stranded driver.
Just trying to pull this guy. He got stuck with his semi-truck, and I decided to give it a shot since I have a very big rig over here.
He hooked up a chain to the semi, and voila.
It was a success, I guess.
On our rainy drive up I-90 from Seattle, semi after semi sat parked on the shoulder, oversized loads not allowed over Snoqualmie Pass. Then, about 10 miles from the summit, a sudden standstill, the interstate crawling for miles, signs warning slush in places. But road conditions really started to shift when we took the Snoqualmie Pass exit.
The roads up here are a lot worse.
WashDOT had the plows out, working to clear slush-covered streets. It was so thick, you were almost better off getting out of the car and walking. And if you're going to be out in it, you might as well make the most of it.
Yes, sir.
This was a family from Kent's strategy.
I grab a snowball and then somebody else tries to throw it at me. I duck down and I throw it at them.
For 9-year-old Sophia Damon, it was a day to experience Snoqualmie Pass. Even if she didn't get the snowflakes everyone expected.
I've never been in a blizzard before.
Welcome back to the KREM 2 News, a week in review. I hope you're having a great weekend. Let's get back to one more story you might have missed this past week.
The good old days of diners and drive-ins are a distant memory in most towns. But if you cruise down West Garland Avenue in Spokane, Washington, you'll find a legendary diner.
Well, it's the little milk bottle-shaped milkshake shop. This is Mary Lou's Milk Bottle.
Great diners need great food, but they also need something to catch your attention, and Mary Lou's Milk Bottle is utterly eye-catching.
It is icon, you know, the milk bottle. It's unique, special.
Tom Ritchie is the owner, but around here, he's known as the Milkshake Man.
I got chocolate all over me.
The Milk Bottle first opened in 1935, and it was actually one of 3 milk bottle-shaped businesses in Spokane. Tom's family said move over to the old owners and bought the Garland District Milk Bottle back in 1998 to expand their thriving ice cream business.
Huckleberry ice cream.
Huckleberry ice cream.
Fresh huckleberries. Oh yeah.
The Milk Bottle stands 38 feet tall and was originally designed as a retail outlet for dairy merchant Paul E. Newman, who was milking the architecture for all it's worth.
Just dairy items, butter, milk, and cheese.
Today, Tom serves up some of the best burgers in town, and holy cow is it good. The beef patty is sandwiched between their signature fresh-made buns.
That's a great bun.
The Milk Bottle is a moving story, and it's touched many customers to this day.
A lot of old-time customers, like they come in every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday. It tells us that, we're doing something right.
For Mary Lou's Milk Bottle in Spokane, Washington, I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Keep it here for more news and weather updates throughout the weekend. And don't forget, you can watch our latest newscasts anytime on your schedule on KREM 2 Plus. Download and watch right now for free. I'm Cody Proctor. Thank you for watching KREM 2 News Week in Review.